Okay, honestly, I can't teach everything. There are so many topics. It ranges from like junior 1 to senior 2. And I just can't bear to teach everything. So I'm sorry, I can't really do everything. And I also think that it's not really worth teaching each bit by bit, because a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory, which means if you just look at the book, you'll know what is going on. You'll understand it by yourself. So what I'm gonna do instead is, if you need any help, message me on WhatsApp. I'll be online, but not that online because I have to study, right? If not, I'll respond at 4. I'll respond tomorrow lah, and hope I can help in the morning. I hope. But yeah, before I start with what might come out, with what I think will come out, I want to give a few tips. Firstly, sleep early. Don't sleep too late. If you're gonna sleep at 12, make sure you get enough sleep before your maths exam. Because if you don't get your sleep, your maths exam will be a disaster. Trust me. You will not do well in maths if you don't sleep at 12 p.m., 12 a.m. Unless you're used to sleeping so late lah. But don't pull an all-nighter and expect yourself to be 100% by the next day. I know because I just did physics and I didn't do that well. I can say I did okay because the paper was ass, but for my standards, I really underperformed again. So I know that it's because I didn't prepare well enough. But this time, I am prepared, kinda. I don't think I completely am. I can spend my whole night doing a lot more exercises, but I'm going to sleep early this time, just for the sake of me. And I think you should do the same thing too. Next is I think it's really good if you attempted to do the model paper. So the model paper will give a similar format to what we have here, because it's an SPM paper ma. So if you want to know how the questions might look like, go to the SPM paper and go to the model exam paper. You bought the books a few weeks ago. It's a mathematic model paper book. You'll know when you see it, and you can just do it. If you think your teacher will scold you, do it in paper. But my teacher doesn't, so I can do it by myself. And I'm gonna do it tonight and see how I do it. I did the same thing for my objective, and I got pretty good. The only mistakes that I got were all careless, so that's a good sign now. But yeah, now I think the last thing I'll mention is what was it again? I forgot what I was gonna say. I always do. Wait. I think I'll just mention what I think will come out first. So these are the possible things that will come out. I think I missed a good amount because those are much simpler to understand. Like for example, I didn't include mathematical reasoning, which is like is this true or false? I think it's something that you can understand. So I didn't include it. But other stuff that I think will come out will include matrix and determinant. So they might include inverse matrix because they only ask about addition in paper 1. They might ask about inverse matrix. They might ask about and you need this because they might ask about simultaneous equations in matrix form, which is sus. And next is they might ask about consumer maths. So consumer maths is tax, insurance, and cash flow. I thought there were a lot of formulas, but looking at the questions again, they are pretty self-explanatory, which means that if you were to look at it yourself, you will know what's going on. You will be able to make the formula by yourself without really thinking much. Next, what I think will definitely come out will be statistics. So statistics will include like mean, mode, median, standard deviation, variance, box plot. Is it right skewed or left skewed? I think those will come out. Like box plot stuff might come out in the first section, but when it comes to like section C, they might ask a lot about these mean, mode, median, standard deviation. And I know they said there's no graph, so you might not really need to construct an OGIF, but they might come out like tables, and you still need to do tables. So to be safe, prepare your statistics. I know it's pretty easy, and the formulas at the front. The formula is given already, but it's a huge waste of time. statistics is the biggest time burner in the exam, in my opinion. It's the question that will burn most of your time, other than maybe other than maybe the pi stuff. Next would be probability. So probability might include like sets, or maybe it'll be a yes or no, and then yeah, just to refresh like, where are the events influenced by each other? Will, like for example, maybe if I have 3/7 and I take 1, will it be 2/6 or will it still be 3/7? So yeah, that's for probability. It's more towards you being familiar with the topic. And then the ones that are definitely gonna come out would be geometry and relationships. So why I think definitely? Because there are a lot of topics regarding these two. So for geometry, it includes interior angles. So what interior angles is like the interior angle of polygon. Like for example, remember it was a question like this, and then they asked the number of sides. The answer is 4, by the way. So this is 5 sides, but then they'll give you like another one. Remember the objective question that we had in exam? That is interior angles, and they give you the formula of n minus 2 times 180 divided by n is the angle of each side. But this is the total. This is like the total interior angles. But yeah, you have to be more familiar with when to use this formula and how do you apply like the rules. Like for example, here complementary angle or maybe supplementary angle, or when to use the relations like corresponding, alternate. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to remember from your past years for you to answer well in this. Next will be the circle rules, which is actually what come out in exam, and it's I think the hardest question in that paper. So like they ask about this. What is this? This is a cyclic quadrilateral. So a reminder I can give is in a cyclic quadrilateral, or what I call it a cyclic quad, these two equal to 180, these two equal to 180. And then maybe another one will be the semicircle one, where if you put a triangle here, it is always going to be 90 degrees all the time if it's semicircle, so it goes through the origin. Another thing that might come up would be what came out in the last time was this one. So it's like I forgot how it worked. Wait. I forgot the other rule, but there was like I remember there was another rule where if there's an outside angle, you can put it inside, but I forgot when can you use that rule. So I hope someone can elaborate to me more on that, because this one's a weird one. But yeah, it's like the angle outside here, which is tangent to the line, will be equal to this opposite angle here. That's the angle I remember correctly. So you have to remember all of those. Next will be plan and elevation. I think this one might come out because it's the easiest one out of all of them. Well, it's supposed to be the easiest one now, but honestly it gets a bit annoying to draw. And then next will be combined transformation. So that's like translation, reflection, rotation, enlargement. And then next is area and volume, like area of sphere, area of cylinder, area of cone, or maybe volume of cylinder, surface area of those stuff, and then the volume of cone, volume of cylinder. Next will be yeah, and then there's a lot more actually, but these are the ones that I remember the most. Next would be relationships. So this includes like the directly and indirectly proportional ones. I forgot what it's already called. But it's the one where you have to sign and then you can use k as a constant. You remember that one, right? That's the easiest topic we learned this year. Next will be gradient, which is like graph gradient, and then the last one will be speed. Or maybe either, like for example, like ST graph and VT graph, and then they'll ask you to find the area of the graph and see if it's the distance, or maybe they'll give you maybe find the gradient to find its velocity, or to find its acceleration. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the graphs, and it's something that you should refresh on. Next will be, they ask about this, but it's something that people always forget. It's the network in graph theory, but I think it's pretty easy lah. So it shouldn't be that much work. And last one, I really hope this doesn't come out, because this is the ass. This is ass. I had a brain burner trying to get this, but the last topic that I really hope doesn't come out will be mathematical modeling. If it does come out, it's definitely gonna come out in section C. So I suggest that if you are very good at everything else, don't do this. Don't do mathematical modeling, because that one is very subjective, very might burn your eyes. So the notes I sent here, these are not included. These are at maths. I'm talking about, this is my other notes that I made for my exams last term. These are vectors. Vectors are, wait, there's no vectors in that maths, I think. In normal maths. Here, network in graph theory. And here, network in graph theory and mathematical modeling. So I'll just explain what the process is first. So number one, you have to identify and define the problem. So you have to state the main problem, and then you may mention what are the variable, what did they give? Like for example, maybe they give you that this guy ran 1,000 miles. I don't know lah. Next is you want to make assumptions and identify the variables. You want to make an assumptions so that your that you have to assume this and this, so that your reader will know that your calculation is not completely accurate, because it has to consider a lot of stuff in real life. So like for example, these are the ones that I found out the that I need to use the most. Given variables are fixed or constant, and then assume graph drawn as a parabola. This is for quadratic function, and then sum of all lengths of the box or frame is equal to the or wire or string used. So this is not really that important lah, but you have to assume some things. You will know what to assume in the thing if you're doing mathematical modeling. And then you have to mention like the variables. So you have to let v equals to volume, let h equals to height. These are pretty simple and self-explanatory lah. And then next you want to apply mathematics to solve the problem. So this is normally where you try and show your working. I guess you can say this is where you show your working. And then you have to like write a sentence. This was so you have to like write it like an essay. We construct a table to determine the word. We write the blah 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 instead of ordered pairs and draw a graph of the table. Oh god, yeah. This is a nightmare. So yeah, so this way you show your proof, your working, and then after that this is where you either show your solution, or show your solution, or show why it works, why it doesn't work. Like for example, maybe there's a few like why it doesn't work in real life. Maybe because it's not refined yet. Maybe because you have to assume too much. Yeah, it's something that really just have to read my notes. These are my examples lah. These are the common things that you might write. Like for example, we can generalize this pattern into a mathematical model as an exponential function. So this one is more towards something like method 1, like table. Yeah, like for example interest, because interest is an exponential function. And then a compound interest, I mean. And then parabola is for quadratic functions. This one is more for linear modeling, like linear lines. And then refining the mathematical model is by improving the model, like making improvements to your solution. Maybe like what is the weaknesses and how can you fix it? Or maybe if you can't fix it, then you say you cannot fix it because there are too many factors, because you need to know like this and that. So your new model have to be made for each other problem. And then reporting the findings is basically like a conclusion lah. Just give a conclusion on what you learned. I feel like they might ask this, but it's a very new topic. So they might not ask it at all, because it's so subjective. It's so it really depends on the teacher themselves lah.